Before the break, our panel chose Ian Botham, Gary Sobers and W.G. Grace as their first three cricket legends. Shortly, you'll be able to decide for yourselves between the 10 legends selected by our panel.
First, though, let's look ahead to the week's main event for cricket fans. On Thursday, England and Australia meet at Lord's for the start of what should be the most closely contested Ashes series for many years. OK, we've heard that one before. But this time, England's consistent form over the past few years really does make it seem a mouth-watering prospect. Merv, what's your take on it?
England have certainly played very good cricket over the last 18 months and deserve to be number two in the world at Test level. And Australia has played pretty good cricket for the last 15 years and deserves to be number one.
Nasser, have they picked the right team for England? Are they the right selection this time?
This time, yeah. England, I think England, in the last 18 months, we know what England are going to do. I think they're a finely led side, they've coached well and they've played good cricket. I think the concern is going to be with Australia, what Australian side turn up. Because if their bowlers come into form and their batsmen already in form, I think England will find it tough. But there must be concern for their selectors, who are sat in front of me, about their ageing bowling department. You know, they're not all on form, so it depends what Australian side turn up.
Ageing bowlers, Merv?
I would say they're experienced bowlers.
What do you think, Jeff?
I'd like to think England to win a Test match. I think they will, but I think Aussie will win too.
Hearing Henry.
Well, I think we had to pick Peterson. So I think had they gone for Thorpe, they'd have sent a message clearly to the Australians saying, OK, we're going to this first Test at Lord's. We haven't won at Lord's since 1934, which is over 70 years ago. And if they'd gone in with Thorpe, I think it was a defensive message. Peterson played pretty well, but in 74 he made it the Oval the other day. It really might almost have been Test match conditions. And I think they were absolutely right to pick him, because I think this has shown the Australians that we're going in there to try and attack them. And if you defend against the Aussies, I think you're lost.
Right. Well, let's ask our audience here. You've heard predictions from Jeffrey, from David Gravely and so on. How many people here in our audience think we will regain the Ashes? We will win the series? I think a large majority. How many people think Australia will retain the Ashes? well Yes.
Australia, let's face facts. Australia took a bit of a hiding at Leicestershire. Who got 200? An Australian. So he's not going to play Test cricket for England.
Very good point. Very good point, Merv. Time now to find out who our panel's next four cricket legends really are. We begin with Australia's Donald Bradman, dubbed the greatest batsman who ever lived. In the 1930 Ashes tour, he obliterated England with his batting displays.
I don't think you could win a match against Australia when he was playing for Australia unless you got him out cheaply. He was ambitious, ruthless, made big scores.
2 years later, England responded with the controversial bodyline attack, principally intended to stop this one man.
Certainly Sir Donald Bradman had his troubles in bodyline. At the time it was just unsporting, but some people say that. I say it's within the rules, and if the captains want to exploit those rules, then that's up to them.
Bradman ended his Test career with an average just short of 100.
Next is the master blaster from the West Indies, Viv Richards. Viv's glittering career spanned 3 decades, and he still remains the only West Indian to notch up 100 centuries in first-class cricket.
He changed the shape of batting. He was so powerful physically, muscularly strong, and once he got in, he dominated attacks, right from the word go.
In the 1979 World Cup final, he scored a stunning 138 not out as the West Indies coasted to victory.
Everything about him was, I am Vivian Richards, you can't bowl at me. Just walking out to bat, the strut, the bat under his arm, the chewing gum, the snorting of the nose. He just had an arrogance and a swagger about him.
In 1986, Viv's batting power destroyed England. He hit a century from just 56 balls.
He was the most destructive batsman of all time.
Now India's little master, Sachin Tendulkar, the modern-day batting maestro. He exploded on the scene in Britain at the age of 17, scoring his first Test century against England at Old Trafford.
Sachin Tendulkar, I think, has made batting look easier, probably, than anyone I can think of. He's a small man, and he really is a joy to watch. He doesn't hit the ball, he caresses it.
He is the first batsman in history to score 10,000 runs in both one-day internationals and Tests.
Whether it's spin bowling or pace bowling, he just takes it in his stride. If a bowler takes his wicket, he's earned every bit of it. Whether he's on 110, 100 or 200, he makes you earn his wicket.
He has so far knocked up 34 Test centuries to equal the current world record.
Well, it was only a matter of time, wasn't it?
He's shown that over more than a decade, he can hold that eminent position in the world. I think his records will just stand the test of time. And you've got to remember, for many Asian people, he is an absolute icon.
Next is West Indies record-breaking batsman Brian Lara. In 1994, he hit his way to a new Test innings world record, scoring an incredible 375 runs.
This is not a man who's just going to get 100 against you and get out. He's a man who's going to get 200, 300, 400, 500 in a first-class game. You know you're seriously in trouble.
In '94, he did just that, scoring 501 runs for county side Warwickshire.
He had basically set his stall out to bat another day and get another 300 runs himself, and you could see that in his eyes, and that is the dedication towards records and breaking of records that I found incredible.
Last year he broke the Test world record again, this time scoring an unbeaten 400.
I think Lara's skill is based on instinct. I honestly don't think he thinks greatly about the game, greatly about the mechanics of batting. He just does it so naturally.
Fantastic. That really is a shot of the highest class indeed.
Thank you. Well, Georgie, four great batsmen. How do the stats separate them?
Thanks, Des. Let's take a look, starting with Don Bradman. The Aussie legend broke every record going in his 21-year career. As we've heard, his Test batting average of 99.94 may never be bettered. But he also hit some incredible totals in individual Tests. His average against England during the 1930 Ashes series fell just short of 140. And his record for double hundreds may also never be broken. He had a total of 49 double centuries in his first-class career, including 12 in Tests. Next up, Viv Richards. As captain of the West Indies, he led his team to 27 Test match victories. In fact, over a 6-year period, they never lost a Test series with Richards at the helm. He also holds the record for the highest number of Test runs scored in a calendar year. In 1976, he totaled over 1,700 runs, averaging 90 along the way. On to Sachin Tendulkar, another record breaker in the game. At the age of just 19, he became the youngest man in history to reach 1,000 Test runs. That was back in 1992, and the Indian batting sensation currently stands fourth in the all-time list of Test run scorers. His current total of 10,134, only bettered by Steve Waugh, Alan Border, and our next nominee tonight, Brian Lara. Well, the controversial West Indian batsman's notched up a total of 10,818 runs to date in his Test career, and as we saw earlier, has the highest scores in both first-class and Test matches. What you might not realise about Lara is just how good he is when it comes to taking catches. The batting genius has taken more as a fielder in Test cricket than any of our other candidates tonight, with a total of 148, which puts him fourth in the all-time catching table. David.
Thank you very much indeed, Georgie. Actually, my favourite story about Don Bradman comes from Dean Jones, the recent Australian Test cricketer. He met Don Bradman about 6 months before he died, and having just been playing against the West Indies, he asked the great man, "Sir Don, what do you think you would have averaged if you'd been facing Courtney Walsh and Curtly Ambrose?" And, about 50, Bradman said. "Oh, that's great," said Dean, "because I managed about 45 myself." And Bradman said, "Mind you, I am 92. let's start with the Don there, Henry. What was the? I mean, he seems to have been so much better. The average of 99, all of those things. What was the one key to his eminence?
I think he had a phenomenal concentration. And you see, he only ever played Test cricket in Australia and in England. He only played 52 Tests. And I mean, his consistency was prodigious. And it could only have been concentration. OK, he invented the pulling the ball wide of mid-on. But he had an astonishing eye. He had fantastic footwork. But I think at the basis of it all was concentration.
Right. And Merv, I mean, he had this power, this ability to go through so many tests with this strength and so on. Someone said he's the most important Australian ever. Do you think that may be true?
Yeah, you talk to any Australian, if you ask them to name the best sportsman that has ever represented Australia, Don Bradman, 99. People out of 100 would say Sir Donald Bradman, and the other person wouldn't have an absolute clue what sport is. Of Sir Donald Bradman to play 52 Test matches, to score the amount of runs that he did, and also have the ability to adjust in adversity, I think he is just fantastic.
Jeff, of those four great batsmen, whose technique actually did you admire the most?
Who the hell cares? I'll take Bradman's 99 average. I mean, Henry touched on it there. What I think made him so great and special was, as a kid, this business, he had a golf ball and had to hit it with a cricket stump up against a wall, because he lived a bit in the outback, he had nobody else to play with. And I think that sharpened his reflexes and his footwork, as Henry said. Just try it at home. Try and hit a golf ball with a cricket stump that's round, it goes anywhere. And he managed to do that and play with that for hours on end. And I think that trained his eyesight, his instinctive awareness of ball sense, hand-eye coordination, and he was just a genius. He didn't make mistakes, and he had this then concentration and desire and ambition to make big hundreds, but he just didn't make mistakes. And I think he saw things so quickly.
OK, thanks a lot. Only three more legends, and then you'll be able to vote. You can do this in three ways, either by texting the word legend to 811006, logging on to sky1.co.uk, or if you're a digital satellite viewer, press your red button. And when you vote, you get a chance to win a fantastic sporting trip.
The winner can choose one of 5 sensational sporting holidays. The first FA Cup final in the new Wembley Stadium. England versus Australia at Twickenham. An England Test match. Perhaps Ireland for the Ryder Cup. Or even New York for the US Open men's tennis final. Vote for your legend, and one of these fantastic trips could be yours.
And in addition, one voter will also win tickets for our final programme next Sunday. Last week's winner of those tickets was Philip Jackson from Leicester, so well done to him, and we look forward to welcoming you here next Sunday. But back to the cricket. 7 down, 3 to go. Stay with us to find out the panel's final 3 choices after the break.
Number 2 in the world at Test level, and Australia has played pretty good cricket for the last 15 years and deserves to be number 1.
Nasser, have they picked the right team for England? Are they the right selection this time?
This time, yeah. England, I think England in the last half.
Well, before the break, our panel chose Ian Botham, Gary Sobers and W.G. Grace as their first 3 cricket legends. Shortly, you'll be able to decide for yourselves between the 10 legends selected by our panel.
First, though, let's look ahead to the week's main event for cricket fans. On
18 months, we know what England are going to do. I think they're a finely led side. They've coached well and they've played good cricket. I think the concern is going to be with Australia, what Australian side turn up. Because if their bowlers come into form and their batsmen already in form, I think England will find it tough, but there must be concern for their selectors who are sat in front of me.
Thursday, England and Australia meet at Lord's for the start of what should be the most closely contested Ashes series for many years. OK, we've heard that one before. But this time, England's consistent form over the past few years really does make it seem a mouth-watering prospect. Merv, what's your take on it?
England have certainly played very good cricket over the last 18 months and deserve to be number